Joining us live from the United States Studies Centre, as well as Mondschein, to discuss all the latest in this APEC development. Now, this is really quite extraordinary in the history of APEC for the entire summit to be called off. It's really key in global trade talks.
It's something that some are worried that this may have some implications for the Phase 1 trade deal that Presidents Xi Jinping and Trump were supposed to sign at the summit, but the White House has already made clear that they expect to still sign this Phase 1 agreement at around the same time, but although not in Santiago.
It does seem like it would have been critical for talks in the context of the US-China trade war. Is this going to stall those talks?
I don't think so. I think this is something that President Trump sees as really critical for his reelection, to be honest with you. If you look at recent economic figures that have come out in the last couple of days, you see capital expenditures in the United States are down to their worst levels in years. And that's a direct result of the trade war. And what the trade war is causing is business uncertainty. Why would businesses want to invest where they're not even sure where they can invest safely? And so President Trump and the White House, they're really going out of their way to try to smooth the tensions with China as soon as possible. With that said, the question is just how far are they willing to go? This Phase 1 agreement, one of my colleagues said, was not worth the paper it was written on because it did not address some of the key issues that have led to this tension with China on trade practices. So it's still unknown just how far President Trump will be willing to go to resolve these trade tensions.
Because this is really key for President Trump heading into the election next year. So much of his popularity has been down to keeping an economy strong in the United States. And so if he's weak there, he needs these very foreign wins to help boost his popularity.
That's right. Yeah, when you look at the places that are the worst affected by the trade war, it's sort of in the heartland of his base. So the farmers, the U.S. farmers that have been really hit by this hardest than almost anyone else in the U.S. At this point, they're still all in for Trump. There have been a couple huge bailouts by the U.S. federal government that Trump has made sure has gone through to them, but that's really not sufficient. You have between bad weather and then terrible trade opportunities for them, they're really suffering. And so will they feel similarly in a year from now when they go to the ballot box? I'm not sure they will. It's hard to put food on the table when you have no partners to give your food to and to sell your goods.
Now, with the cancellation of the APEC summit, is there a chance that we could see a different bilateral meeting with the United States and China to try and nut out these issues? We understand that China wasn't too concerned that the summit had been cancelled because they wanted more time to firm things up on their side, but these talks will still need to happen.
That's right. It seems that the White House was caught a little bit off guard by the cancellation of APEC, but they still came out right away saying we plan to follow the same sort of timeline for finalizing this Phase 1 agreement. As you mentioned, that China is not worried. The issue is that the U.S. is a democracy, so the U.S. Politicians and especially President Trump is going to have to face a pretty angry electorate if this trade war only escalates or doesn't tamper down at any point. Whereas Xi Jinping can probably wait this out a bit longer than President Trump. Although he has some pressures in other parts of the world, including Hong Kong, he doesn't have a ballot box. That's what President Trump has. And that's where it's really critical in the eyes of the White House and the Trump administration, to be seen at least to be resolving this as quickly as possible.
And it seems like Trump wasn't successful in getting G7 to his resort. Do you think maybe we could see APEC at one of Trump's resorts?
Well, it seemed like the pushback from Republicans on their decision to go to his property was enough that they'd change their plan. So I don't think they'd want to go to that again. With the elephant in the room and all this is impeachment, and the impeachment is his staying in office is reliant on Senate Republicans still supporting him and still voting against removing him from office in impeachment proceedings. So I don't think President Trump would want to go back to his property and risk more anger from any Senate Republicans on that matter.
Well, it's certainly been a huge development in global trade, at least. Mondschein, thank you so much for your time.